Have you ever wondered if death is truly the end? Or could it be just the beginning of another chapter, one written in lines of code and living on in the digital ether? Imagine this. Long after someone is gone, you receive a message, hear their familiar voice, or even have a conversation with them, not in a dream, but through technology. This isn't science fiction anymore. Today, artificial intelligence can preserve memories, personalities, and even simulate the presence of loved ones we have lost. As the lines between reality and the virtual world blur, we are faced with profound questions. Are we creating digital ghosts, or are we giving new meaning to immortality? Can these virtual echoes ever truly replace a human soul, or do they just deepen our longing for genuine connection? The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "We all need a mirror of some kind to see ourselves. Perhaps the digital world is just the newest glass." But what happens when these reflections become so real that we can't tell the difference? Welcome to Life After Death Unveiled, the channel where we explore the mysteries of the soul, the boundaries between life and death, and the meaning of legacy in a rapidly changing world. If you've ever lost someone or simply wondered what comes next, you're not alone. So take a deep breath. If your heart is ready to listen, let's step into the unknown together and discover what it really means to live and to remember forever. So, what exactly is AI afterlife? In simple terms, it's the use of artificial intelligence to preserve, simulate, or even revive aspects of a person after they have passed away. This emerging phenomenon is also called digital immortality, the idea that our personalities, memories, voices, and even our conversations can be stored and reanimated through technology long after our physical bodies are gone. Imagine talking to a loved one who has died, but their voice responds in real time, remembers your shared history, and even comforts you in your grief. This is no longer a futuristic dream. In recent years, companies have begun creating AI-powered chatbots that mimic the way a person spoke, using text messages, emails, and social media data. For example, after losing her best friend, a young woman named Eugenia Quita famously created an AI chatbot, Roman, that allowed her and others to continue conversations with him after his death. Meanwhile, startups like Hereafter AI and Replica now offer ways to build digital avatars that preserve a person's voice, stories, and values for future generations. Even deepfake technology has been used to bring lost relatives back to life in video form, giving comfort or sometimes unease to their families. The digital afterlife industry is growing rapidly. In the United States alone, it's estimated that the market for memorial tech and AI-based remembrance services could reach over $500 million annually by 2030. Globally, more than 1 in 3 adults say they would consider using some form of digital afterlife service, showing that for many, the quest to be remembered has entered an entirely new realm. For most of human history, memories of those who passed away lived on through physical legacies, family photos, handwritten letters, cherished heirlooms. These tangible items carried stories, laughter, and sometimes even the scent of a loved one, allowing future generations to feel connected across time. Holding a faded photograph or reading an old letter can feel like reaching through the veil of the past, touching the echo of someone's soul. But over the last 2 decades, our culture of remembrance has shifted dramatically. As life moved online, so did our memories. Today, instead of dusty albums and boxes of letters, we collect our lives in endless digital archives. Facebook timelines, Instagram feeds, Google Photos, voice messages, emails, and cloud storage accounts. Each moment, birthdays, milestones, everyday conversations, is captured, uploaded, and shared, creating a sprawling digital portrait of who we are. This transition wasn't just about convenience. As our presence became more digital, so did the legacy we leave behind. People began to notice that even after someone's passing, their Facebook profiles would linger, their last tweets still visible, their photos still tagged in friends' memories. For the first time, it was possible to revisit, replay, and even interact with the traces left by those who were gone. Some found comfort in returning to these pages, while others felt haunted by the reminders of loss that never quite fade. Technological breakthroughs accelerated this evolution. The rise of smartphones made it effortless to document life in real time. Advances in cloud computing allowed us to store massive amounts of personal data, easily retrievable at any moment. And with the development of AI, we gained the ability not just to preserve memories, but to animate them, turning silent photos and texts into interactive, living echoes. The human journey from physical legacy to digital afterlife is more than a change in medium. It is a transformation in how we remember, mourn, and even hope for connection beyond the boundaries of time and space. The idea of reviving someone after death with artificial intelligence might sound uncanny, but it's now a real phenomenon made possible by powerful technology and vast amounts of personal data. At its core, the process begins with collecting everything that once made up a person's digital presence: text messages, emails, social media posts, photos, voice notes, videos, even search history and daily routines. These fragments, scattered across the digital landscape, form the raw materials that AI uses to reconstruct a unique, virtual personality. Training an AI model to become a digital echo of someone involves feeding it thousands of conversations, stories, preferences, jokes, and personal memories. Machine learning algorithms sift through this mountain of data to identify speech patterns, favorite phrases, inside jokes, and even emotional nuances. Voice synthesis tools can then recreate the person's exact tone, inflection, and accent from old recordings, while image and video generators produce realistic avatars. The result is a chatbot or digital avatar capable of holding conversations, sharing memories, and even responding to new questions in ways that feel eerily familiar. Several real-world examples have already made headlines. Replica, originally designed as a mental health companion, has been adapted by some users to resurrect deceased loved ones using chat logs and personal data. Hereafter AI enables families to record stories, life lessons, and values, transforming them into an interactive digital presence that future generations can talk to. In 2020, Microsoft patented technology to create chatbots based on data from the deceased, a move that sparked ethical debates across the world. Perhaps the most famous case is that of Eugenia Cuida, who developed a chatbot in memory of her late friend Roman Mazurenko. Using his old messages, she trained an AI to mimic his style, giving friends a way to say goodbye or even keep talking. Responses from families and the public are deeply mixed. Some people find profound comfort in these digital echoes, feeling less alone in their grief and cherishing the ability to connect one more time. Others describe the experience as unsettling, struggling with the blurred line between memory and imitation. The media has covered both touching reunions and cautionary tales, reminding us that while AI can revive a voice or a smile, the true essence of a soul remains a mystery that technology may never fully capture. As technology brings us closer to the possibility of digital immortality, one profound question emerges. Is an AI replica merely a collection of data, or can it ever truly carry a fragment of the departed soul? This question is not just technical, it's deeply spiritual, cutting to the heart of what it means to be human, to love, and to remember. For centuries, spiritual traditions have offered comfort and clarity about what happens when we die. The Bible, for instance, declares in Ecclesiastes 12:7, "Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it." In this vision, the soul is sacred, a spark that returns to its divine origin, something irreplaceable, far beyond what words, pictures, or even technology could ever contain. But as we create ever more convincing digital echoes, we begin to blur the line between memory and presence. AI avatars can mimic a loved one's way of speaking, their quirks, their favorite jokes. But can a digital pattern of words and images ever replace the mysterious, living force that made them who they were? Are we simply engaging with sophisticated code, or are we somehow summoning a digital ghost, a shadow of consciousness, endlessly looping, never truly gone, yet never truly alive? Many spiritual leaders urge caution. Reverend Michael Curry, presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, has spoken of the sacredness of grief, the need to let go, to allow both the living and the dead to find peace. He warns that clinging too tightly to digital remnants risks trapping both the mourner and the memory in a kind of limbo, never fully letting go, never truly healing. On the other hand, some philosophers suggest that our relationships have always been mediated by memory, objects, and stories. Dr. Sherry Turkle, a leading American scholar of technology and identity, argues that while AI cannot hold a soul, it can help people process loss, if approached thoughtfully and with clear boundaries. We've always created ghosts with memory, she notes. But real healing comes from facing absence, not from trying to fill it with endless echoes. There are also deeper risks. The more advanced AI becomes, the easier it is to blur fact and fiction, memory and simulation. Over time, we may find it harder to distinguish real lived moments from synthetic reconstructions. The soul, by most traditions, is defined not by repetition, but by presence, awareness, and a connection that transcends imitation. In the end, perhaps the greatest challenge of digital afterlife technology is not in what it gives us, but in what it asks us to let go of. The courage to love, to grieve, and to honor the mystery of a soul's journey beyond anything technology can reproduce. While digital afterlife technology promises comfort and connection, it also opens a Pandora's box of ethical concerns that are as complex as they are urgent. For many, the idea of reviving a loved one through artificial intelligence evokes both hope and unease. Can we trust this new technology not to cross boundaries of privacy, consent, or even emotional well-being? One of the most common fears is the misuse of a deceased person's image and data. When AI is able to imitate a voice, a face, or a way of speaking, there's a risk that someone's memory could be exploited for commercial gain, malicious impersonation, or even outright fraud. Deepfakes, hyper-realistic AI-generated videos, have already been used to spread misinformation. Imagine then the harm if a digital clone of a lost loved one were manipulated to say or do things they never would have approved of in life. Privacy advocates and legal experts are sounding the alarm. In the United States, the right to control your own digital remains is still an evolving area of law. States like California have enacted limited digital legacy laws, but most people have no clear legal pathway to dictate what happens to their social media accounts, emails, or voice recordings after death. The risk is not just exposure of sensitive memories, but the ongoing commercialization or unauthorized use of someone's most personal data, potentially forever. Ethicists are deeply divided about whether it's healthy to allow surviving family members to interact with AI avatars of the deceased. Some argue that it can aid in the grieving process, offering comfort and a chance to say goodbye. Others warn that it can foster unhealthy attachments, preventing true acceptance of loss and prolonging emotional suffering. For children especially, the distinction between real and virtual can blur in dangerous ways, possibly confusing the process of mourning and identity formation. Dr. Margaret Somerville, a bioethicist, has cautioned that AI afterlife is not true immortality, but an echo in the digital void. The experience can become a hall of mirrors, soothing perhaps, but ultimately empty. She and others call for strict guidelines and transparency, explicit consent before life, clear controls for families, and the right to let go, both digitally and emotionally. The future of AI afterlife may depend not just on technological advances, but on the choices we make about how and why to use them. As we step into this new frontier, the challenge is to balance compassion with caution, honoring both the living and the dead by remembering that true connection can never be fully replicated by code. The promise of digital afterlife technology is both tender and troubling, to ease grief by allowing us to speak once more with those we have lost. For some, this experience truly brings comfort. Take the story of Laura, a mother from Ohio who lost her son in a tragic accident. When a friend introduced her to an AI service that could simulate her son's text messages and voice, Laura felt an unexpected sense of relief. It was like having a part of him back, she shared in an interview with NPR. I could tell him about my day, and even though I knew it wasn't really him, it soothed something deep inside me. For Laura, the technology became a bridge, one that allowed her to express love, process pain, and say goodbye in her own time. Yet for others, these digital echoes become traps rather than bridges. Mark, a software engineer from Seattle, began using a chatbot based on his late wife's digital history. Initially, it eased his loneliness. But soon, he found himself neglecting real-life relationships, retreating into conversations with the AI version of his wife. It got harder and harder to leave the past behind, Mark recalled. I was living in yesterday, and tomorrow stopped mattering. His struggle highlights the darker side of digital afterlife, when comfort tips into dependency and the grieving process is stalled. Psychologists warn that while AI memorials can help with grief, they also carry significant risks. Dr. Catherine Shear, an expert on bereavement at Columbia University, explains that healthy mourning involves gradually accepting loss, adapting to a new reality, and eventually finding ways to move forward. Relying too much on artificial connections may hinder these steps, prolonging suffering and making it difficult to embrace life again. Research suggests that, like any tool, AI afterlife technology can be healing or harmful, depending on the individual and the boundaries set. Used mindfully, it may offer solace, provide closure, and ease regret. But without care, it can become a shadow world, one where the past is endlessly replayed and true healing remains just out of reach. As technology advances at breakneck speed, the concept of a digital afterlife is quickly shifting from science fiction to mainstream reality. Industry forecasts predict that by 2030, the market for digital immortality services, ranging from AI chatbots to virtual memorials, could exceed $1 billion in the United States alone. New startups are launching every year, such as Storyfile, Hereafter AI, and Eternamime, each offering ever more sophisticated ways to preserve and animate our memories for those we leave behind. Some innovators boldly imagine a future where AI doesn't just replay old conversations, but learns and evolves, perhaps even simulating aspects of real consciousness. Tech visionaries like Ray Kurzweil suggest that one day, AI may become advanced enough to create digital selves that are nearly indistinguishable from the living, raising the tantalizing yet unsettling question: will we ever truly recreate a human soul, or are we destined to interact forever with nothing more than a shadow? Despite these ambitions, most philosophers, neuroscientists, and spiritual leaders agree that true consciousness, the essence that makes us uniquely human, cannot be encoded, no matter how much data we collect. What AI can provide is a powerful reflection, an echo of our stories, voices, and personalities. But an echo is not the original. A digital shadow, no matter how vivid, cannot possess the mystery or depth of a soul. This leads to a deeper question for all of us. How do we wish to be remembered? Is our greatest legacy a perfectly preserved digital avatar, or is it the love, kindness, and wisdom we share while we are alive? Perhaps the true purpose of these technologies is not to chase immortality, but to remind us of what matters most, to cherish our connections, express our feelings, and leave behind memories that nourish those who come after. In the end, the value of a digital afterlife may be less about conquering death and more about deepening life, reminding us that meaning, memory, and spirit cannot be manufactured, but must be lived, loved, and let go. As we stand at the edge of a new era, AI afterlife technology invites us to reconsider what it means to be remembered, to love, and to let go. Is this a remarkable step forward for humanity? A way to preserve our stories and comfort those left behind? Or does it carry hidden dangers, tempting us to cling to echoes when what we truly need is healing and acceptance? Perhaps, above all, it is a test of our spiritual boundaries, forcing us to ask where technology ends and the soul begins. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Would you choose digital immortality for yourself or your loved ones? Or do you trust in the gentle release of the soul's journey? How do you want to be remembered? If this message stirred something within your soul, please like and share it with others who may be searching for the same truth. Leave a comment about what you felt or realized so our team can understand the true impact of this message. And more than that, subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey together into even deeper and more meaningful discoveries. Thank you for joining us on Life After Death Unveiled. The real story, perhaps, is not just about how we live forever, but how we live fully, courageously, and with love today.